Hello, this is Susan Koshy with Gerard, Chris, and Cheryl in Singapore. And I am setting up an interview with them to find out what they do and the application of salt in their work. So, good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for enabling this interview.
Hi.
I'd just like to introduce Chris, Gerard, who heads the organization Beyond, and we have Cheryl. Hi to all of you, and Gerard, I would like to start with you by asking you what Beyond is all about and what your association is, how long it has been. Would you like to share some information with us?
Okay. It's an organization that works in low-income estates with a view of getting those neighborhoods to care for the kids better. So, we're trying to get a village to raise a child, and a lot of our workers try to build that village. Yeah.
Okay. How long has this been going on? How old is Beyond, and how long have you been associated
Beyond's
with it?
been around since 1969, but over the last 3 to 4 years, there's been a renewed focus in going back into the community. So I would say that this work with the community has taken a renewed focus over the last 3 to 4 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay. When you say the renewed focus, are we talking about the SALT approach? Or is it some kind of a different focus that you're giving to the community?
We started in 1969 as a community response to people who were displaced by a fire. So we are trying to organize a community, trying to get people to help themselves. And after several years, we kind of went on the way of professionalism, meaning that we sort of became professional social workers. We provided professionalized services. But I think after a good 30 years, we realized that something's missing. We can never fill all the gaps with professional services, and that's why we need the community and this renewed focus then.
Okay. Cheryl and Chris, we had met in India last year for the Global Learning Festival, and we talked so much about the SALT approach. Cheryl, would you like to speak about the application of the SALT approach in Beyond and its activities?
Perhaps I'll start with my own work first, as Chris has suggested. Personally, I actually work more with volunteers than with the local community. So I think it's been helpful to understand the community life competency process and apply it in the work with volunteers, because essentially we hope to engage all volunteers as part of the community rather than as people externally who view themselves as coming in to provide a service or as helpers in a giving kind of relationship. We hope to engage them to really view themselves as part of the community. So by using some form of facilitation, perhaps at the moment not directly as SALT in the full form that we were familiar with when we attended the Learning Festival in Chennai, but by using the idea of community and facilitation, introducing volunteers to this platform, and then helping them to use this to engage the community at a more personal and a more two-way and reciprocal manner. So for me personally, I think that's how we've been trying to apply it in the work. Perhaps for more local community, Chris would be a more appropriate person to answer the question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Chris, would you like to say, and also would you like to also share how do you see Beyond in the future, and how do you see your work in the future, this application of the SALT approach?
As Gerard mentioned, it's a renewed focus in terms of enabling the community to look after themselves. We are trying to move in full force into engaging the community better. There are different levels, like some work with a group of youths where SALT or CLCP is used in terms of activities. Where do they see this activity going? How they want to develop themselves, if it's a particular sports or arts. Then on the level of the parents, they become volunteers within the neighborhood. So how can they help other residents in the neighborhood? When we call them volunteers, it also means they have strengths in terms of providing that emotional support, or in terms of looking after another child from another family, different forms of support. So we realize that when we pull these people together, they actually provide support to one another even without us going in. So it's more to reinforce and affirm that for community building, that they have solutions among themselves, rather than coming to us, and seeking that solution. Yeah, so it's more in that direction. My dream would be eventually if people begin to see that they have the solutions, living will be more community, and the children, at the end of the day, our focus is that children are looked after by the community. So if children are well cared for, then it brings new meaning into social problems.
All right, thank you. That's been a wonderful session, and I thank you very much, Gerard, Chris, and Cheryl. And we'll sign off here.